In Commission, one of our core values is the mandate that's outlined all the way through the Bible, the biblical mandate to remember the poor, as Paul tells us in Galatians chapter 2. And actually we see it all the way through the Bible. We see the heartbeat of God is for those who are vulnerable, the oppressed, the needy, the poor, those caught up in extreme poverty. And it's one of our core values as a family of churches is to play our part in that. And as we read Isaiah 58, we see that the fast that God has put before us is a culture of spending ourselves on behalf of the hungry and setting the oppressed free and releasing those who are oppressed. So we see this as a massive priority for us, both as individual churches and indeed as a family of churches across the world. We read in the New Testament of the early church and how they responded again and again with practical help for those who are in need. And so that's what we're wanting to do in Commission. And we see that actually God's word is not just to help those who are in need, it's actually to see them lifted up. One of my favourite verses in Psalm 113 where it says that the poor are lifted from the ash heap and raised and seated with the princes, and everyone has got a mission that God is calling them to, and we want to see people live their life in all its fullness. So what's happening at the moment around our family of churches? In the UK, where we have just over 50 churches at the moment, we did a survey earlier in the year and found that almost all of our churches are involved in some aspect of ministry with the poor or social action. And that could be from running a food bank to being involved in fostering and adoption, debt and money advice, helping those caught up in drug and alcohol addiction, being involved in street pastors, all sorts of things that are going on, which are really inspiring to think week by week many lives are being touched and hope is being brought to so many. When we look at India, where we have over 30 churches, we see there that there are numbers of people there that are just unprecedented in terms of the world's poor. The greatest number of the world's poor live in India, and the greatest number of unreached people groups are in India as well. So we feel a massive calling to be increasingly involved with that incredible nation. And our churches there are touching some of the poorest people on the planet, and that's through very practical things as well. So there's a project helping those suffering from HIV and AIDS, working with the destitute, the elderly. We have the Foundations for Farming initiative down in the south of India, which we believe is going to have a massive impact as that rolls out, just helping and equipping rural farmers in new ways to grow greater amounts of food to feed their family. So there's a lot happening in India, and we're feeling increasingly called to be more involved there. In Portugal and Spain, where the kind of austerity measures are hitting hard, the church in Penafiel have started a project where they go out in a minibus each week through 3 different counties, bringing practical relief, and with that comes the hope of the gospel as well. And that's really one of our unique points as a local church. We're able to touch the needs of the community because the church is the community. It knows the needs that are around it. And so we want to build through the local church, use the people that are in the local church, have the passion to help those in their community. And so we're believing God for much more as we step out in the future. Matthew Barnett, who pastors a very large church in Los Angeles and has a very successful and a huge range of social action ministries in his church, once said, you know, you can be just one inconvenient step away from doing something extraordinary in someone's life. Just one inconvenient step. And I think that's just the message I'd like to end on, that as you step out, as we cross boundaries to care for those who are needy, who are vulnerable, who aren't like us, then that one step can make an extraordinary difference in someone's life.